In our first example, the teacher demonstrates a beginning level strategy. She runs through a large concept without breaking out the lesson's information into bite-sized pieces before having the students put the skills into action.
So we always have characters in our narrative. Okay, we have to have those characters. We always have a setting that tells, right, when, where the story takes place. Within that, we always have a plot. We've talked about our plot that goes up and down, and how a plot, there's always going to be a problem and a solution, and then the author always puts in that theme, and what is the message that the author wants to get across from you. So we have looked at our sample from the NISA writing, and we talked about different parts of the narrative. Today I want you to remember those 5 different parts of the narrative as you write your own narrative. So I'm going to put a prompt up here today, and you're going to read that prompt, and then you are going to get out your papers, and you are going to begin writing your narrative today, thinking about those parts of the narrative. So read the prompt, and then you need to get out your papers and begin writing it today.
In our next example, the teacher breaks out different parts of the lesson and chooses one chunk to spotlight. She demonstrates the I do part of the I do, we do, you do technique, but doesn't monitor students for understanding of the chunk.
We are going to break it down into one of those characteristics of a narrative. Today we are just going to talk about the characters in a narrative. So up on the board I have shown you a little organizer that is called Build a Character. And when you look at a character in a story, you need to think, what makes up a character? Whether you're reading a story or you're writing a story, what are the parts of that character? And so I have chosen a character from a story that you're probably familiar with, and that is Templeton from Charlotte's Web. He's the rat in Charlotte's Web. And we're going to break down Templeton into his character and decide what he's like as a character. So the first part of our character, build a character organizer, is going to be appearance. Appearance means, what does he look like? So when I'm talking about Templeton and I'm reading the story Templeton in my mind, and what the author tells me from their words, I have to come up with this picture in my mind of what Templeton looks like. So on my organizer I have put that Templeton is a chubby rat. How do I know this? Because the author has given me these clues in the story. He has a long tail, sharp teeth for gnawing. How do I know he has those sharp teeth for gnawing? Because they talk in the story about how much he enjoys eating and how much he enjoys that food at the fair. And then I've also put that he has those claws for crunching the food, because the author has used words that have described how he's going around the fair and collecting all of that food that's making him big and fat as a rat. So that is what Templeton looks like, and that is one of those characteristic traits that you're going to be looking at when you read and when you write your narratives. Another trait is going to be personality. So when you are thinking about a story, a narrative, and you're writing your own stories, how do you bring out what the person is like? You all have personalities, and a character in a story should have a personality. What are they like? So when I looked at Templeton, I thought, oh, he's sneaky. He's a sneaky rat. Okay? I also put up there that he's thoughtless. He's thoughtless. He doesn't think of others. He doesn't care about others. He just only thinks about himself. He's kind of self-centered that way too. He's unkind. He's really not a nice character in the story so much. He's very unkind and ill-tempered, meaning he doesn't have a very good temper about him. So those are things that make up him, and I should be getting to know that personality from him as I read that story.
In the next example, our teacher moves from developing to applying because she adds in the we do and you do parts of the I do, we do, you do technique, which allows her to monitor students for understanding of the chunk she has broken out. By having the students work together in small groups to discuss a chunk, then calling on them to share out to the entire class, she has the opportunity to monitor for understanding of the chunk before moving on to the next piece.
Talk with your partner about a word that you could use to describe what Mrs. Twit looks like. Turn and talk with the partner next to you. Right, eyes and ears back up here, please. Reagan. Can you give me one of those words that you would use to describe Mrs. Swift's appearance?
Ugly face.
Ugly. Mason, can you give me another word that you would use to describe Mrs. Swift's appearance?
She has a walking stick.
She has a walking stick. Okay, is that part of her appearance, what she looks like? So how might she walk if she has a walking stick?
She's not that good at walking.
Okay, so maybe she's kind of slouchy. I like.
She then has the students work on a graphic organizer to do individual practice of the chunk. She moves around the classroom to monitor all students for understanding of the chunk.
Today it is going to be your turn. So you have your Build a Character organizer, and today I'm going to give you a choice from the story that we've been reading aloud in class, Ruby Holler, and you are going to get to choose one of those 4 main characters right now, so you can choose Dallas, Florida, Sari, or Tiller for your character. And then you are going to begin filling in your character traits, appearance, personality, what do they like, dislike, based on what the story has told you about that character. At the end of today, boys and girls, I'm going to pick this up to see how you are doing identifying character traits. And I'm also going to be talking with you and checking in with you on what words you're putting down that describe each one of these character traits. I want you to go ahead and get started by choosing one character from the story. Choose one of the characters from the story, either Dallas, Florida, Sari, or Tiller. Jax, I see that you put Florida is blonde. Why did you write that word down for her appearance?
Because in my mind, I usually think that Florida is usually blonde.
Okay, what in the story has made you think that she is a blonde? For Florida's looks. Something she likes. Say that again. Money. Yeah.
To move on to innovating, after monitoring all students for understanding of the chunk of information, a teacher must find new strategies for unique student needs and situations in order for the desired effect to be evident in all students. In this example, our teacher notices a student who is struggling with the graphic organizer, and she replaces it with one containing prompts in the different spaces so the student can focus on the desired chunk for the lesson.
I can see that you are having some troubles getting started. Can you think of one of the characters to write down? You're having troubles? How about this? What if I get you started here by, I'm going to give you this character. Okay, so we're going to do Dallas. And Dallas is
The boy from Ruby Holler.
And so we're going to start with his appearance. I have given you one idea about Dallas's appearance. I want you to come up with another one. So I wrote down
13 years old.
You come up with another appearance. What does Dallas look like?